In this video, I will solve question 3 from a practice questions for midterm 2. The question is about school choice. So let's see, we have a market with 6 students. Their preferences are here. And we have 3 schools, school A, B, and C. And in terms of how many spots they have, school A has 2 spots, school B has 2 spots, school C has only 1 spot. So 6 students, 5 spots, everyone ranked all options. Therefore, we are destined to end up with 5 students basically taking 5 spots and 1 student staying without the spot. So in part A, we need to find student optimal stable assignment. And that's just an invitation to run student proposing assignment. That's just an invitation to run student proposing deferred acceptance, not a school proposing, student proposing. That's the one we use in school choice. So let's see. So as usual, we will be capturing state of the market after each round of proposals. Let's see. So in round 1, students propose to their first choice. School C receives 3 offers, S2, S3, S5, S2, S3, S5. You can only say yes to one, so it says yes to S5. And S2 and S3 burn their first options. So those options are no longer on the table for them. Now, S1, S4, and S6 apply to school A. So school A receives 3 offers, S1, S4, S6. So it says yes to S1 and S4. School B, nobody proposed. So that's after round 1, three tentative acceptances. So in round 2, we have, so who else burned? S6 burned. So people who are not in there is S2, S3, and S6. They propose to their second choice. So S3 proposes to school A, S2 and S6 propose to school B. So S2, S6 are easy, they're here. Nobody proposed to school C, so S5 must be still here. Now for school A, we have S3 proposing to A. And notice S3 is pretty high, therefore he will bump one of those guys and it will be S1. So we'll have S3, S1. And S4 is burned his first option because he is, no, sorry, no. S3 and S1 got bumped, so it's S4. It's S1 who is bumped, so he burned his first option, A, okay? So we go into round 3. Almost everyone is there except for S1, so S1 will be proposing to his second choice, to school B. Notice that in school B he has very low priority, so nothing happens. He just burns his option, so nothing really happens. So same as here. No reason even to write it. And then in round 4, he proposes to school C. In school C, he has a decent priority, but still lower than S5, so he burns his last option and ends up unmatched. Therefore, if we need to write a match, let's erase this and yeah, let's just keep this match. So we have for S1 is unmatched, S2 is in school B, S3 is in school A, S4 is in school A, S5 is in school C, and S6 is in school B. This is our student optimal stable match. Let's check. BAA, CB, correct. Now we have one extra question here in terms of whether this match is actually Pareto efficient. Now in theory, let me make it kind of clear. So in theory, we have a fundamental trade-off. So what I was arguing in class is that in general, there is no guarantees that a stable match will be also efficient match. So in a general problem, our expectation should be that no, we are not going to produce a Pareto optimal match with a deferred acceptance algorithm that shoots for the best match, but that has to be fair, that has to be stable. Now, in a particular problem, of course, we need to check it because it might happen that the best stable match for students also might happen to be Pareto efficient. Who knows? There are many Pareto efficient matches there. So so that's a way we actually need to check. So let's see, and let's try to argue that see whether it's efficient or not. So efficient. So the match is efficient if students cannot swap their places with each other such that everyone is better off. So let me show you an argument showing that I actually, so let me kind of try to convince you. So first of all, note that we have students S5 and S4 who got into their first choices. So these students are very happy. They got into their first choice. If somebody approaches them and say, hey, let's trade, they will say, no, I'm perfectly happy where I am. Which means that school C is also out of running because S5 will never agree to any trade, and one spot in school A is also taken. Now, since school C will never be available, notice that S2 end up in school B and S3 end up in school A. Because school C is not available anymore, because S5 will occupy it forever, these students basically got in their conditional best choice. It's not the true best choice, but because S5 will never agree to any swap, then S2 and 3 are also happy. Therefore, this student will never agree to participate in any exchange, and these two guys will never agree to participate in any exchange. And effectively, we have school A is also completely sold out. Notice that then student 6 will also never agree to participate in any exchange because the only way he can gain is by moving to school A. But school A, these guys will always stay at school A. Therefore, he also got his conditional top choice D. So these students never participate in any exchange. They're also all the only ones that got into school, so nobody really cares about S1. Therefore, it actually, yes, it's efficient. So I just gave you an argument why this match is efficient, because clearly there is no exchange that can occur between students such that everyone gains. All right. Okay, so that's, I would say, somewhat unusual, but it might happen. Okay, so in part B, so now moving on to part B, we need to do the top trading cycles. So in part B, we're looking for efficient match. Efficient match. And I guess it's not super specific here, but it's what I mean here by find an efficient match is actually run top trading cycle algorithm, find the outcome of top trading cycles algorithm. So let's do that. We have 6 students. We have 3 schools, 5 spots. So let's, we have S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, okay? So let's start. Okay, so let's start plotting the cycles. So let's just start with, I always like to start with 1. He points to school A points to S2. So effectively we use these priority lists as ownership rights. So S2 is currently owned by, school A is currently owned by S2 because he has the highest priority in there. So A points to S2, S2 points to, he wants to be in C. C actually, S4 has the highest priority in C, and C4 wants to be in A, and we have a cycle. So S2 wants to be in school C, so that's where he is going. And then S4 wants to be in school A, that's where he is going. So now we can take the cycle from this market. So I take S2, S4, and I also take school C because there is no spots left in it. And I reduce the counter for school A because there's only one spot left there. And we continue to plot cycles. S1 points to school A. School A now points to S2 is already gone, so it points to S3. S3 wants to be in school C. C is gone, so he points back to school A. Okay, so, and that basically means that he will also be in school A, and we can eliminate it. All right, and now we only have school B left. Therefore, everyone will be pointing to school B, and school B will point back to S6 first, and then S5, and it will never point, so S1 wouldn't get anywhere. So unmatched, and then B and B. So if you want, you can plot the cycles, but that's what the result will be. Okay, so that's the outcome of a top trading cycles. By construction, it's efficient, so we know it's good. So top choice, second choice, first choice, last choice, second choice. So apparently that's Pareto efficient. So nobody can trade and gain. So nobody will be engaging in any trade. The question though is that we have a side question for this: is it stable? And again, in theory, basically, we have this general result that says there's no reason for a Pareto efficient assignment to be also happen to be stable. So for a particular problem, we have to go and verify. So the way we verify, we now treat this, instead of treating it as priorities, we treat it as preferences. And we look for runaway couples. And the best way to look for runaway couples is identify people who are not super happy with their match. So for example, S1 is not super happy with their match because he's not matched. S2 is super happy. This one is fine. S4 is fine. S5 is also not fine. So I would look at S1 or S5 as my best bet where instability can come from. And now for schools. So school A got S3 and S4, not bad. School B got S5 and S6, not bad. And C got S2. Okay, so this is where I would start. Because currently S2 is assigned to school C, so school C is relatively pissed off. If that was its preferences, it's actually pissed off about this because it got enrolled a student who is almost at the bottom of the list. And let's see. So for example, clearly there is a runaway couple with S1. So if S1, who is not attached to anyone, would say, pick up a phone and call school C and say, how about admitting me? School C would actually want to do that and ditch. If school C is allowed to drop S2, it will gladly do it and get S1. Notice that also S5, who was admitted to school B, he would also rather go to school C, and he is also higher qualified. So the answer here is unstable. So blocking couples. Well, I mean, we actually found two couples. So it's C and S1 or C and S5. Any of these couples would want to run away from this match. Okay, so here the theory is actually the that's what usually we see that there is a difference between stability and efficiency. So I guess maybe not in this problem because we know that there is one stable match that is Pareto efficient, but of course we also found different Pareto efficient match that respects priorities, which happens to be not stable. So it's unfair in a sense. All right, now finally Boston mechanism. So let me actually carefully go through it because I don't think we did an extensive, and I don't think Boston mechanism made it on the problem sets. So part C, Boston mechanism. So let me carefully walk you through how it works. So if you look at the slide for Boston mechanism, basically says, look at only first choices of students, apply, enroll students, then look at second choice in round 2, look at second choices, look at third choices, and so on. So unlike the priority match that I was showing how to do it in a medical match, we say Boston match is like priority match, but the way they actually do it is a little bit different. They never really reduce the game. So let me show you what I mean by that. So with Boston mechanism, effectively we'll be enrolling students as we go. So any match is final. That's a distinctive advantage. It's immediate acceptance. So in round 1, we only consider first choices of students. So first column. And they apply, so we have students applying to school C, 3 of them, S2, S3, and S5. And school C will accept S5, C. And that's it, because it only has one spot. And there are 3 students applying to school A. So school A will be gone after round 1, because S1, S4, and S6, S4, S1, S6, so we assign permanently S4 and S1. So S1 goes in A, and S4 goes in A. That's permanent matches, done. In round 2, we look at, so that was round 1. So we actually managed to accept 3 students. We know that they're first choices. So in round 2, we'll look at second choices, at the second choices by students. And we actually don't even care if some of the schools are gone. So for example, so we look at second choice. So we only kind of focus on second column. So notice that S3, S4, well, S4 is already enrolled, so we don't really have it. But S3 is still not enrolled, and he listed A as his second choice. So he's really going to be bumped because he's currently applying to school A, and A doesn't have any spots left. So he just burned his option for nothing. So S3 is unassigned. Now we have 3 students. So sorry, S1 is gone. So we have S2, S3, and S6. So 2 of them apply to school B, and so naturally they're getting enrolled because there are only 2 of them, B and B. And that's what happens in round 2 of the Boston mechanism. And finally, we go into round 3 because we still have one assigned student, although I guess we don't really have spots left, so there is no point. So S3 is unmatched because in round 3 he applies to school B, but school B is already oversubscribed. So unmatched. Okay, so that's how you do Boston mechanism. Literally focusing, try to enroll in the first options, if fail, try to enroll in second option, and you completely disregard any fact that the school potentially is already oversubscribed. So you don't really help out students with that. In that regard. Also, I would say kind of priority match, the one they used for medical matches, actually kind of helps out by recalculating the problem and identifying your conditional top matches given the current market situation. So that's not what they do in Boston mechanism. All right, so that's what we get. And this assignment, we have a couple of side questions there. So let me first check. So we got A, B unmatched, A, C, and B. And side questions that we have is efficiency, stability, and deviation. So the reason we haven't asked for any deviations under A and B, we know that both of those mechanisms are strategy proof for students, and for schools, we don't think about schools being as strategic players here. All right, let's see. So efficiency. So let's see. For efficiency, S1 is in the top choice, so he's fine. And we have S5 fine, and we have S4 at A. So notice that it actually will be very easy to show that that's efficient match, because S1 will never trade up with anyone, S4 will never trade up with anyone, and S5. What it means is that school C is done and school A will not be involved. So the only exchange that can happen is only limited to school B, but then what's the point to exchange? You can only exchange your place in school B or for being unmatched, and you prefer to be matched. Therefore, this is efficient match. So Boston mechanism actually end up producing efficient match. It doesn't have to, but here it actually produces efficient match. Now, how about stability? So that's harder to get usually. And let's see. Oh, it's actually very easy to spot. S3 is actually a pretty good student for school A and B, and he's currently unmatched. So let's say no. So unstable, clearly. Unstable. And blocking couples will be, for example, school B and S3. Because S3 would rather be in school B than being unmatched, and he has a very high priority in school B, so he would run away in no time. He can also probably try school A. He likes it more, and he also would get in here because the best student they have is, I think, who they get? S4 and S1. They got these guys, so they will be happy to run with S3. So S3 with A, with B, so there are many runaway couples there. So clearly unstable. Now deviation, again, for somebody to game. So Boston mechanism is actually you want to deviate because it creates this incentive for you to rank the school, the realistic schools that you can actually get in as a first position. So clearly here, as we went through Boston mechanism, the student that burned was student 3. He burned bad because he listed school C and A as their first choices. He didn't get into C. School A was over subscribed as of second round. So by the time he get to apply to school B, B was also oversubscribed. So he was always late to the party, even though he is a pretty good student, I guess, except for school C, and that was his big mistake. So for deviation, how about S3 submitting a rank of, for example, A first, then B, and only then, let's say, school C. So instead of ranking C high, put it at the end of your list, or don't even submit at all. Don't apply to C, because you're not going to get in this school. It's highly selective. So by applying to school A first, he would get enrolled into that school in round 1, and he will end up at this point. So there is an easy deviation here for this student. Let's see if I get it right. All right. Okay, so that's the end of this question and the end of the video.